Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to EA Tetragrammaton, where we are playing This is turn 46. Let's jump into things. Okay, so kicking things off, what do we got? We've got a whole host of site searching. We've got a dire portent. We've got a couple battles. Let's get through. So, nothing. This is depressing. Nothing. Nothing. Dire portent. Alright, so we are being watched. Relay has put up the eyes of God. Okay, cool. Nothing. Hey, burial mound. That's one death gem. Nothing. Hey, elusive lights. That's actually a air gem, I believe, and maybe a fire gem. We'll check it. Actually, we'll check it now. Yeah, air and fire. Cool. And then the burial mound was one death, so. The last one? Okay, so we've got a battle in Neotha and a battle in Ial. So the battle in Neotha is just ghouls. So he just popped some ghouls in Neotha, and our barbarians were able to easily kill them there. We witness a battle between Pan and Kailasa. This is just like a little raid. And then we've got Ial. So Ial, this is up against a bunch of slingers, which is not going to accomplish anything. But what we're trying to see is we're trying to see if anything has changed. So, we've got a Dione out front. We've got an Oni Shugo out front as well. This guy is relatively geared up. He's got a water lens because I guess, you know, from me. Interesting. Got some cool stuff. Another water lens over here. Alright. So they are just using overwhelming wolves. Kind of run at us. And we'll see how that works. Yeah, big slaughter. Good. Okay, so we did not manage to kill anything. Big deal. Unexpected event in Pugria. So a freak show with local talents has gained fame, and people are happy about it. Hey, gave us money. Yay. We've got some fire gems from Underspring, found digging in a spot where snow would not settle. And then we did some patrolling. Okay. What's going on this turn? We've got Yomi troops in Ial, and right behind Yomi troops in Delka, or right behind, we have more Yomi troops in Delka. Okay, so we've run into some issues here. Obviously, we're trying to wait until we get some certain breakpoints, and we're trying to build up a force. No more close things anymore. Trying to build up a force that we feel like we're, well, I said definitely going to win with. We thought we were definitely going to win the last time, so that might be a little shady. But we've run into some issues. One of the issues being is that we don't really want to fight in the snow. Okay, that's just not a super favorable situation for us. Another issue is that we sure as shit don't want to fight in these caves. Okay, if we take a look, everything that Yomi has basically has Spirit Sight. Okay, so Spirit Sight, you get no penalty from darkness. This is a problem because caves operate on basically like a half darkness. So if we were to fight, if he were to march on us in Agartha, we would fight with all of our units having basically -3 penalty stats. We are ready. We don't. No more disadvantages. Damn it. Like, if it was 200 versus 200, then maybe we would take that disadvantage, right? Because in the past, it feels like we're only losing because we're being outnumbered, okay? So maybe we would take that disadvantage. But even in that situation, I have no real want, no real desire to fight an equal battle numerically in caves against Yomi. So this is an issue, right? The fact that Agartha is a cave and the womb is a cave is a big issue. It's also an issue how he has placed himself. So in attacking Ial rather than attacking Neotha, he threatens the interior of our lands, the heart of our lands, rather than the northern portion of our lands. And this is just, the layout of how things are, right? So if he, for whatever reasons, right, if he were to decide to go from Ial and Delka and group up in Neotha so that he can hit Agartha, that might be one thing. But he might just go ahead and hit Perenna and bring in a unit behind. These might not actually be intended as siege armies. These might just be intended as, okay, time to troll around armies, right? So we've got a bunch of different scenarios in play. So, what are we going to do? Well, one of the things that we're going to do is we're not going to stick around. We're not going to pigeonhole ourselves in... This guy is. We're not going to pigeonhole ourselves in Agartha. Because if he does move to Neotha, we want to be able to respond. More specifically, if he moves on top of Perenna, we want to be able to respond. And unfortunately, while we can move the majority of our mages from Agartha to Perenna, we can't move our armies from Agartha to Perenna. So we've got to mobilize our armies now. So we're going to go to Bel, because Bel is two reasons. Bel is a checkpoint between Agartha and Perenna. We can reach either one, reinforce either one as needed from that location. And more specifically, Bel has a laboratory, so I do not have to worry about having perfect account of gems this turn, having everyone set up perfectly this turn, etc, etc. We can move on to Bel this turn with an army, and if he hits Perenna, we go, okay, obviously we have to do something about Perenna. We set up in Bel, we reinforce Perenna the next turn, go from there. If he does end up going for Neotha, right, we still have the ability to set up, and if we so choose, take the fight at Agartha. Okay? So, that's the generalized game plan on positioning for Agartha. So, all of these units, or the vast majority of these units, are uprooting and heading to Bel. You may notice that Esham 4 is not. Esham 4 is actually doing a Call of the Wilds, targeting the Feral Woods. I've been working with Lanka on ideas to kind of help break the power of Yomi. Part of the reason why Yomi is doing such a good job is because they have an intense amount of free spawn. Because Yomi's predecessor did a decent job putting up temples, and we have not done a good job knocking them down, basically. So we've gotta go in there, gotta get some of these temples knocked down. And an easy way to do that is to just use site remote attack spells, basically. And now that we have, technically we could do this with our Nature 3s, but now that we have a Nature 4 just sitting here, we can Call the Wild pretty consistently. Feral Woods is just a good target because it's a wood, so it's regular effectiveness there. And yeah, so that'll be good. Alright. So that's kind of what's going on in Agartha. In Perenna, we're researching. And actually, most places, we are just researching. Because very specifically, we want to hit Alteration 7 next turn because we want to have access to primarily Mass Protection, but also potentially Fog Warriors if we can swing it. It depends on the setup, the nature of where we battle, etc, etc. Okay? So, we had to be very judicious in who was staying in which location, who was using boosters, who was using the Dwarven Hammers, etc. And we've worked it out to where we need 431. We have 447. Pretty close, but we're covered, so that's good. Next up, we're actually going to be aiming to run up enchantment. We're probably not going to go all the way up enchantment to where we're wanting to go. We're probably going to maybe hit like enchantment 4 and then break off and go for construction 6 or something like that. But high enchantment is eventually where we want to go. We do want to utilize things like mass regeneration. We want to utilize things like serpent blessing, foul vapors, etc. In fact, I would interested in utilizing foul vapors in a near future fight with Yomi, because I can poison ward my people, right? So pretty easy for me to spam out poison ward, cluster all our people up together, poison ward. And in fact, right, if we get into a situation where Yomi kind of like piddles around, we may very well do that, right? If we move into Bell and we find that Yomi has not moved onto Perena, he moves to Neotha, or maybe he just backs off, or maybe he hits Mag, right? It's possible that we just sit and research in Bell for a turn, basically. And we might try to push through towards Enchantment 5 for Foul Vapors. Because Foul Vapors, doing some Poison Ward spam and then dropping a Foul Vapors with our Esham 3 would actually be really good. It would kill off the whole fucking mass of his units. But we've got to get there first. So it's got to be an actual scenario. I actually did consider the concept of swapping gears entirely, but I think that would be stupid. If I had thought about it, well, I say thought about it. If when we had gotten Esham 3 several turns ago, I had pivoted at that point towards Foul Vapor's Poison Ward combination, I think that would have been perfectly valid. Right? But anyways, this is what we're going for right now. We've got our Crystal Sorceresses all still in Perena. We're actually summoning a Kusariku just cuz, right? We are continuing to recruit Crystal Sorceresses, and we're actually getting a Bone Reader here, not a Shaman. So the concept for hitting Foul Vapors, I haven't looked this up. I haven't had a whole lot of time to do much of anything besides the very basics in things here lately. But in theory, with 4 Lizard Shamans and 4 Crystal Sorceresses and 1 more Crystal Sorceress, we in theory have the ability to boost this Crystal Sorceress, or any Crystal Sorceress, a Crystal Sorceress, from Air 1 with 2 Communion to 2, 4 Communion to 3, 8 Communion to 4, and then with a Power of the Spheres, hit 5, and then Fog Warriors. So it would look like Communion, both Slave and Masters, right? Communion, both Slave and Master. Power of the Sphere, Fog Warriors. There's a lot of ifs. Part of the ifs being, and I'm still debating this, so I might change what happens. Part of the ifs being that we've got to get all of the mages required for that into the fight. So I'm trying not to move around mages because I'm trying to hit this research goal. Because it doesn't benefit us to try to be able to do Fog Warriors if we don't even have Fog Warriors, right? So in theory, I can take these Lizard Shamans and I can move them into Perena this turn, but that drops me below the threshold, right? So this is this is part of the thing, and this is one of the things that I might change. I've been hemming and hawing over this for, I don't know, about 30 minutes now before I was like, screw it, I'm just going to record the video and we're going to see what happens. So if he moves on to Perenna this turn and I move into Bell, okay, he's on Perenna. He brings his Delca forces down to Eol and he can reinforce Perenna. Okay, we're going to have a big battle on Perenna then, right? Obviously, he's setting up to try to do another big fight. He keeps winning those. That's not good for us. Okay, so that means we're going to have to move on to Bell. We're going to move from Bell on to Perenna. But he sees, you know, that I have a big force here, and maybe he makes the decision, yeah, screw this. We're not going to do a big fight. Attack from Eol into, I don't know, like Neotha just to screw me over, and then attack from Perenna into like Ctesiphon or something like that. So then we have this situation where I'm trying to move troops into Perenna. He's trying to move troops into somewhere else, potentially. And it's possible that troops could get caught up along the way. Right? So, alternatively, it's just, if your army is not all together, if you're trying to move to a place from multiple different places, like we sally out from Perenna, we attack into... from Bell to Perenna, we attack from to Perenna, right? Maybe we move a Crystal Sorceress from Ctesiphon into Perenna. So we've got all these different scenarios. It's possible that the way, depending on where he moves, it could screw us over, right? So not having your forces all together when you're trying to move into a battle can be detrimental. So alternatively, right, I could take this turn and go ahead and just move into my own territory, because moving in your own territory activates before moving into enemy territory, right? So I could take this turn to go ahead and just put all of the shamans together, and then there with the Crystal Sorceresses. So we've got 8 slaves here ready for a master. Okay? In theory. But doing that means I would need to make up the research somewhere else, which means leaving mages behind in Agartha. And then we run into a similar scenario where I could try to bring those mages in. So what I could do... Then we move here, okay? We've got to make up this research. So let's say individuals that we don't care as much about are Galas, right? They research. Okay, we're up to 24. And what do we have a whole lot of that we don't really care about? I mean, we do care about all of these. Let's say Hordy, right? Hordy's a 5 hit point, 2 earth, 1 nature. He's more valuable to me as research than he is a combatant. So that's 436. So everyone else moves as was the plan. Right? And we should be good. In theory. We leave behind 2 Galas and a horticulturist. The 2 Galas can... actually travel. If we look at this, the 2 Galas can make the trip from Agartha to Perenna. So in theory, they could try to join a battle next turn if they wanted to. Okay, I like that. That's a fair trade. Okay, and in fact, actually put that on this one. Go boost that up just a little bit as well. Okay, I like that change. So that's what we're doing this turn. Aside from that, we are recruiting more units, right? Trying to build up a second army in we are recruiting Ishibs in Kohnberg, in Perenna, and in Agartha, because I think Ishibs are still going to be pretty useful. We are recruiting Enkidu Spearguard in Perenna. We are recruiting some Spearguard in Agartha, just with spare money. And that's pretty much it. I have considered bringing forth the Yeti But I actually think the Yeti are more of a potential issue than they are an aid at the moment. To combat the Yeti, I really need, or to bring the Yeti in, I really need cold resistance. I just don't have that yet. So that's fire resistance. Enchantment, isn't it? Yeah, so Winter Ward, well, we have Winter Ward. The Winter Ward at Enchantment 5 is kind of the first time we would get access to what we're really looking for there. And then Frostfind, of course, being the battlefield-wide one at Enchantment 8. So getting something like Frostfind up makes it to where the Yetis are just really big hit point bags, and we can kind of like we can beef them out. Like, these Yetis could be a really good thing for us in the long run, even to the point to where later on down the road, with someone like Ishib 6, who is Water 2, Air 1, it's potential that summoning Yetis could be really good. Because if we get to the point to where we have really good buffs, right? Like, we have either Mass Protection, or we have, you know, Army of Gold or Lead, and we have Fog Warriors up, and we have things like Mass Regeneration, and we can Frostfind our armies, then that type of scenario makes these Yetis at 46 fucking HP and 22 strength pretty good. Pretty good. The downside being that they are still size 4, so their attack density is trash, right? But if someone doesn't have ice resistance, cold resistance, right, and you put a front line of Yeti that are regenerating with protection buffs and with Fog Warriors, then that can get pretty crazy. So, just something that we're looking at in the future. What else are we doing? We're forging more Boots of the Messenger. Oh, another thing that we're doing is might notice that we have no Boots of the Messenger. We are sending Lanka 4 Boots of the Messenger. Lanka's paying full price for these. We make these at 3 gems, so we are making 8 gem profit off of them. You can grumble about whether or not you think the mage turn is worth a gem, or whether you think it's worth more than a gem. You can grumble about the concept of sending Boots of the Messenger to Lanka being a bad idea, because Lanka's a blood power and going to kick my ass in the late game. Probably. I'm not super worried about the late game right now. I'm super worried about it being turn 46 and Yomi pushing demons down my throat and Pan still not being dead. Yeah, we're making more Boots of the Messenger. We are actually summoning some herds of the buffalo. Basically, what we're doing is we're realizing where we're at on gem usage, and we're realizing, okay, I'm pretty much done with remote site searching. I would like to continue doing some remote site searching for Astral, and some remote site searching for Death. And continuing to do augury for now, because why not? Actually, our fire gems are starting to get up there, which is pretty cool. But that being said, we don't really have a whole lot of other options for utilizing our gems at the moment. So we're probably going to start to move into situations where we do try to produce, use summon units. So we might actually start summoning Yeti with our Ishib, because I think, yeah, these guys are 0 upkeep cost. So, and we can build a small army over the course of 10 turns, right with this Ishib, we can basically go even on water gems, not gain, not lose, and gain 50 Yetis. Which is okay. It's not a bad thing, right? So, we're probably going to start transitioning. Basically, we're going to start transitioning into that, utilizing our gems for summoned type units, kind of economy. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we're really doing that's important. I don't think so. I think that's mostly it. So that's going to be it for the turn. We got Eyes of God going on. Really interested to see what happens with the movements with Eal. I think at the end of the day, doing the Lizard Shamans into this is probably going to be for the best. You know what? Does that matter? I don't think it matters. I can't see why that matters. Is there any reason why it wouldn't matter? Do we have the bigger... You know what? That could matter. So in theory... Right, if he moves from Eal to Perenna, and then he sees me in Bell, he could attack me in Bell, and we're close enough in unit size and army strength that he might be able to, like, push at me. But here's the thing, if he decides to attack me from Perenna to Bell, without his 90 stack reinforcements over here, I think we just win. Like, I'm not super worried about losing a fight in non-favorable terrain for him at even odds, especially after I get mass protection. It's like if we are like suddenly like, okay, boom, mass protection, and then we take an even fight and we still lose, fuck me. Fuck me, I guess. Like, just whatever. Fuck it. Like, damn. We're just damn. We can't do anything about that. I guess we just suck. You know? But I don't think that's gonna be the case. So okay. Oh man, we are so close to some really good stuff too, actually. Especially with this potential communion, we could really do some crazy shit in the very near future. We could do stuff like we could pop up Evocation real quick. And hit Thunderstrike and Storm. So that our Crystal Sorceress, when we communion up, we could do a Storm cast. And then all of our Gudus, our Air Gudus, could go... Storm Power. They could do like Mist Form, Storm Power, or they could do like Mirror Image. It depends on what all we're doing, right? Try not to layer buffs, but basically Storm Power, Thunderstrike spam. And Storm Power, Thunderstrike spam is still, I mean, it's 20 turns after that normally, 30 turns after that normally comes online for someone like Fomoria, right? But for us, that's still going to be really useful, especially like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Thunderstrikers. And we can bring more to heal pretty quickly. 6, 7, 8, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, we actually have a lot of Air 2 Gudus. We could do a lot of Thunderstriking really quickly. And that's pretty good, especially, and this is kind of the insidious thing. If we keep our factories going, and this is probably why we're doing Kusarakus here right now. What? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna leave the Kusarakus, but we're probably not gonna continue to spam them. We could, but we're probably not going to, because I'm probably going to want another hammer or two, because it's probably going to be a good idea to just Boots of the Messenger the shit out of myself, because they're so fucking useful for mages. Like we get into a situation where we've got all of these air gurus and we're prepped to do Thunderstrike spam. We can put Boots of the Messenger on all of them, and then we can do something like, I mean, obviously these are like perfect scenarios. We can do something like relief, right? So all of a sudden we've got four fatigue reduction or reinvigoration basically every turn. That's fucking good. That's really good. Suddenly that makes your Thunderstrikers be able to get back into the game way more consistently. Anyways, I'm hyping myself up over things that aren't happening yet, but we are getting there. We are getting to the point to where we've got some pretty fun, pretty good options. I'm actually considering putting a level 1 fort. No, I would have to up it to 2. So I'm actually considering putting a fort down on Ctesiphon over the course of the next 5 to 10 turns, just to fully commit to the Crystal Sorceresses. Because right now it takes us 2 turns to get 1. Reducing that to a single turn is valuable, especially when you consider you can bring in a lot of different things here. These gals only have 10 HP, but we can suit them up with things like Coral Blades. We can put Boost to the Messenger on units that are going to be slaves, right? And there's a lot that we can do in this type of situation. This is actually one of the reasons why, because you can't guarantee Crystal Sorceresses, but this type of utility is one of the reasons why I like because has a pretty interesting spread. You've got decent air and decent earth guaranteed. You have very good nature guaranteed. You have some death guaranteed. And you generally, you don't have astral guaranteed, but if you take astral on your pretender, you normally have a good leg into astral later on. This has not been the case for this game, and it's probably not going to be the case because we've just gotten horribly unlucky with our astral site searching. But even discounting the astral, all you're left with not really having, you have great water, or good water. All you're left with not having is fire, astral, or death. Now, in fairness, astral and death tend to be the game winners for a lot of games at the end of the game. But I don't know. I really like her. They're a really fun nation to play. So I'm jibber jabbering. I'm gonna go ahead and end this episode. We'll see how next turn pans out. Bye, everybody.